welcome back to yet another video. If you're new here, my name is Wanzu. I like to talk about all things life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And most of the time, this is a feel-good channel. We like to talk about things that make us happy. I like to say, stay blessed and unserious. A bit of background: growing up, I always listened to radio. I love radio. I love listening to conversations. And so I thought it would be nice to create a platform, my own personal platform, where I speak about things that I'm passionate about, speaking sometimes from my own experience or from shared experiences. So today I want us to talk about an issue that's very close to my heart, and that's the issue around gender-based violence, or GBV, if you will. I think this is something that we've been chatting about for a very long time, for the longest, for as long as I can remember. It was quite pronounced last year, and for the better part of this year as well. I feel like, however, the conversation was more heightened last year, just based on the cases that were being presented and how prevalent and recurrent, and just how much the cases were rising as a result of this particular issue. When I speak on gender-based violence, I speak on it from the unfortunate perspective of having experienced it. I lost my maternal grandmother to gender-based violence. That was in 1997. That's over 20 years ago. Actually, at the time, I was 4 years old, so that is 28 years ago. And it's every time I hear someone going through it, or someone who's experienced it or has brushed shoulders with GBV, it's always a constant reminder, and it takes me back there. And I think as a family, we coped with it the best way we knew how. We even came up with certain initiatives that could help spread awareness on the matter, but also give help to those who are victims of gender-based violence, or who didn't know where to turn to or where to go to. So something that I saw recently on the internet really irked me, to be honest. The first trigger was when I saw the story about the young girl in Nigeria who was being sexually abused by a relative. First it was the cousin, then it proceeded to be the uncle, and she didn't get the support that she needed. People around her didn't even believe her, and as a result, she ended up losing her life due to an infection that she had incurred because of the sexual abuse. And then the second incident was, like I said before, I love podcasts. I consume a lot of content, especially when it involves talking and all around issues, and especially issues around life and all of that. So I was listening to a podcast, and usually the first segment of the podcast, they talk about what caught your attention, just to be able to segue into the conversation and just allow the guests and the people around there to just ease in and kind of figure out what headspace they're in. And so the first person spoke, and then the second person said, young children nowadays, I don't like the way young children nowadays are being dressed, or how they're dressing. And so he proceeded to kind of explain where he came from and why he had those thoughts, and the reason behind those kind of thoughts, whatever it was that he was putting across, and why that caught his attention. And for me, immediately he mentioned it, that was a trigger point for me, because as a mother, but also as a grown-up, as a full-blown adult who knows better, has experienced way more than children, and has the gift of foresight and insight, when I look at children, all I see is a child. That's all I see. Like, at the bottom line of how I interact with children, all I see is an innocent being and just a child, somebody who needs guidance, who needs protection, and who needs love and lots of care. So I think personally, we've really normalized, and this is unfortunate to say, but we've really normalized sexualizing things in how we view them. Because I think there's something incredibly disturbing with a grown man seeing a child, however the child is dressed. They could be in shorts, they could be in a short dress, they could be in a short skirt, they could literally just have been walking to the bedroom to go and get dressed. And you know how children are, because at the back of our minds we think, oh, that's just a child, and children don't have, what do you call it, inhibition. Sometimes they could walk around in their undies. Sometimes they could just be scratching their bum unprovoked because they're children. That's just what they are. Their awareness, their level of awareness is still very little. And so as adults who have them and who we have been given the rare opportunity and the rare privilege to be able to guide and parent and protect them, that is something that we should take very seriously. So when you see a child, the first thing that should come to your mind, I would think, is that, oh, that's a child. Oh, and look at the cute child with a little outfit, whatever the outfit is. It could be a mini skirt or whatever, and so on and so forth. And the fact that a grown man could just go ahead and just think, oh, I don't like how they're dressing. Because what is this thing that you're seeing that you don't like, surely? Don't you people feel like there's a problem with that? So I thought it would be nice to, which is unfortunate we're even having it, to be able to have, I thought it was important, not even nice, to have a conversation around gender-based violence and some of the things that I'm seeing around me that quite frankly irk me, I find deeply disturbing, and I think some people are doing, and others even by virtue of their silence or not speaking out when it's done, are continuing to fan the flame and are perpetuating it. And so here I came up with a list of a few things that I feel are heavily contributing to the issue around gender-based violence. Before I continue, I also just want to say that the statistics are staggering, and those are the cases that we're aware of. They're the ones that we see online, they're the ones that we see on the news. Now pause and think about the cases that don't even make, they don't get the light of day. We don't get to see what is happening, who fell victim, who even unfortunately lost their lives to this. The first thing I think that is contributing to GBV is the culture that we have. We have a bad culture of making women feel like they don't own their bodies. It is seen when people catcall women. It is seen when people choose to want to talk about what body parts women can show and what they should not show, how they should laugh, how they should talk, and most importantly, how they should dress. Because when you see a woman's body, you want to sexualize it and feel like she doesn't own it. It's like it's societal property, and that. Another thing that I feel is really propagating this issue of gender-based violence is shaming. Most of the time when someone is a victim, falls victim to gender-based violence, there's always the why. There's always an undertone of what did you do for them to do that to you? And even if it's not said outrightly, it's insinuated, it's preempted. And I don't think there should be an excuse or a trigger for anybody to violate anyone, whether it's sexually, whether it's physical abuse or mental abuse or even financial abuse. I don't think anybody should be triggered to do those kind of things to anyone. So there's a lot of victim shaming. There's been a lot of shifting the blame and saying, but what did they do to get this person to that point to be able to do this to them? Why were you walking around at night? What were you wearing? I think we've seen people be very inappropriate, even with, and if we're talking about dressing, women who are covered up from head to toe, but you'll see someone saying inappropriate things, catcalling them, sexualizing them. So it's really not about what people are choosing to wear or where people are choosing to go. And it also takes us back to the conversation of, are women not allowed to have an opinion? Are women not allowed to change their minds? It's like, as a woman, how dare you change your mind? How dare you have a contrary opinion? You can go out on a date with someone and think that maybe you want to take things further, and then proceed to change your mind and say, actually, no, I just want to go home. Or actually, no, I don't want to be here. Or actually, no, I want to do something different. There's always a very resentment and hostility towards women when they seem to feel like, when they want to exercise free will or their ability to change their minds and all of that. The other thing is cover-ups, which is very unfortunate. And these perpetrators are not people from outer space. They are our brothers, unfortunately. They are our sisters, some are our husbands, our uncles, some are our neighbors. They're people that we know of. And it really rubs me the wrong way. irks me incredibly when I see people cover up for perpetrators. And cover-ups could be in many different ways. It's when something, something as someone has been violated, okay? And then now you want to talk about, oh, let's not make it a big deal. Let's just discuss it amongst ourselves. Tell us what you need. That's already a problem, because when we continue to show perpetrators that there is no repercussions for their actions, that there are no consequences, that this is something we're very eager to sweep under the rug or just to resolve quickly so that we can get on to our daily lives, we are sending a message that actions have no consequences, that you can get away with doing what it is that you're doing. And that's why it's like the cases continue to be more and more gruesome and more terrible. And that cannot be the case. So that is not allowed. Whether it's your child, whether it's someone you know, a friend, a relative, never be an enabler. Don't cover up for them. Don't give them money to escape, to go on a hideout. Don't give your space out as a hideout. Draw the line. Let's not be people. And Giuliani said it. Usikue comfortable kusimama maovu ya kitawala. Because surely, in one way or another, you're contributing to the issue. You are no different from the perpetrator. The only difference between you and them is they actually did the act. You are just, you're helping them cover it up. And as a result, somebody else whose life has been stopped, whose life has been altered, who's gotten lifelong injuries, will never get justice because you think it's okay to cover up for somebody who did something terribly wrong. So that's also a problem. So we've talked about some of the issues. I'm sure there are many, and we could go on and on and on about it. But I'm also very big on finding a resolve when it comes to certain issues. And the first thing I would say is we need to bring more people to book. And it goes back to my previous point. When you've seen somebody, and usually I feel like people push limits, people push boundaries. It starts with the very subtle things. It's the catcalling. So somebody just knows that they can stand somewhere or they can sit somewhere and just catcall women and say nasty things and say inappropriate things, and nobody will tell them, why are you saying that? Why are you talking like that? And then it goes further. Now next time they feel like they can grab them, they can grab their arm, they can grab whatever part of their body, and it's okay, and nobody is calling it out. And then the next thing you know, they're forcing themselves on this person, and it's because of small inappropriate behaviors that were not nipped in the bud or that were not called out that are leading into more ugly things. And then now you're seeing them not doing this to even grown folk. Now they think it's okay to do such things to children. So that's a problem. I feel like perpetrators should be brought to book. Inappropriate behavior should be checked, even when that person is your friend, even when that person is family. Don't allow people to do certain things and you sit there in silence and you say, not my monkey, not my circus, that's not my problem. Because today it's being done by someone you know who is close to you, and you think they can't do it to you, and tomorrow it'll be done to you by someone who you don't know, and they won't be there to protect you. And now you know how it feels. So don't wait for things to hit close to home for you to want to contribute to bringing perpetrators to book. Don't be comfortable with sitting when nasty things are happening around you. Stand up for what is right in whatever capacity you're able to. The other thing is protecting vulnerable people. I've always said this. I feel like children should really be protected. And this comes down to the most simple things, because we're seeing the cases rising. We are seeing people with very nasty habits even post crazy things online. So at the very least, as a caregiver, as somebody, as a guardian, please protect your children. Make sure your children are protected all the time. When they're going to school, make sure that you have somebody who's reliable, somebody who's responsible, to kind of always know when they're coming and when they're going, always know their whereabouts, gauge where it is that you live. We've had children disappear when they were sent to the shop and they never came back. We've had children who literally just left and went to play, next door, and they never came back. So always be incredibly vigilant, and I would say even overdo it, because that is fine. At least when you're overdoing it, you're on the safe side. So be very vigilant and very watchful and very mindful about children around you. And even if they're not your own children, be very vigilant and watchful about the children around you. I know of a friend who tells me that when she's going for her evening walks, she sees a child who's alone coming from school, and her spirit just tells her, I don't feel like that child is safe. She will follow the child behind at a safe distance until they see that child has gotten home and they're okay, or maybe they've gone to like their parents' place of business or whatever. They're like, okay, I guess that child is safe now that I can go. It's those small acts of care and protection that make the world a better place. It's those little acts. So let's protect the vulnerable people. I think it's very thoughtful when somebody, like a man, your cousin, your brother tells you, oh, you're going, let me accompany you, let me chaperone you, or let me drop you off and let me pick you up, because your security or your safety is of priority to them. I think that's something that we really need to do. The other thing is to name and shame. In my previous line of work, I used to go through, I used to siphon through the database for sex offenders and just kind of make sure, because I was siphoning people that were getting into a certain site. And I think in the US, it's there. Like, if you're an offender, you can be able to be found in the database and people can name you there. And so if you're living in a certain area, you can be able to see, oh, Nani who lives at gate A.BBB and number 4 is a sexual offender. That person has done this. Name them and shame them. Name and shame, so that we know who to look out for, we know who to be watchful around, and we know who to avoid, and we know who has bad manners. So it's very important to name and shame these people. When we name and shame, we reduce the likelihood of this happening to another person. We reduce the likelihood of bringing these people with nasty behavior around us and into our safe spaces. Because the same way you will treat someone who you don't know has tendencies of GBV, and the same way you will treat someone who you know has actively done it, and you've seen and you've heard and you have proof, is not the same. Your level of vigilance will be higher, and that's what we need. So name and shame them. Name and shame them. And then another thing we need to do is just shift the culture. We truly need to shift the culture. The conversations we're having around young women and women in general and girls needs to stop. The hostility that we are extending towards women when they exercise their free will, when they exercise their freedom of choice, when they are able to articulate and voice what it is that they're saying, it's something that we need to respect. I've seen cases of gender-based violence where somebody maybe was physically abused for a very long time, and then they say, okay, so I've been in this relationship, I've tried to fix it, I've tried to work on things, I've tried to go and come back, I've tried to give this person space, I've tried to talk to them, and it's not working out, so I guess the best thing to do is leave. And you'll hear of cases where this person was followed, either it was in their place of work, or they were followed to their new residence, or their new, where it is that they were living. And in the most severe and unfortunate cases, they actually lose their lives. So you'll find somebody's previous partner still following them, harassing them, beating them up, and they've literally left the space. And so people are dying and they're losing their lives, all because of someone's ego, or because you can't agree to be left, or because you can't believe that someone has said, enough of this, I'm done, I'm leaving. So we are losing lives. We are getting life-altering injuries because somebody's ego is bruised. I think that's a problem. And it goes back to basics, to teaching boys to hear the word no and actually honor it and respect it. When someone says no, when someone says that doesn't work for me, when someone says I've changed my mind, to be able to respect that and to understand that changing your mind and having an opinion is not only privilege that is accorded to men. Because that's wrong. That's really, really wrong. And when we talk about ill-mannered people and we talk about sexual assault, I think we've seen these cases happen even in reverse, where it's not only young girls but also young boys as well. And so when you keep quiet and you just allow perpetrators to move with their own vibes, you give them an inch, they take a mile, and they keep extending and poking and seeing just how far back they can push the boundary. And as a result, our children are getting hurt, our sisters are getting hurt, we are losing our loved ones, we are losing our friends, and this cannot continue to be the norm. The culture has to shift. Hard conversations need to be had, and people, even women, need to take extreme measures if need be to safeguard their own safety. I don't think that this is something we can talk about enough and exhaust and finish, but I think it's plain to see that there's a big problem and that something needs to be done. Don't even get me started on cyberbullying, because we have seen cases where someone's previous partner has actually used the internet to bully them and to abuse them, because that's emotional abuse. Imagine posting someone else's nude photos, posting intimate photos, posting, like just putting your business out all there and being very vile about it. It's honestly not necessary. It's honestly not necessary. And at the heart of a lot of these things is some of it is illnesses, some of it is just people with bad manners, some of it is just people who just can't handle a bruised ego. And that is terrible. I'm deeply passionate about this. In the spaces that I'm always in my own way and in my own capacity, I will always call out gender-based violence. And not only because today it could be someone else and tomorrow it could be me. It's simply by virtue of the fact that I personally refuse to see it and watch evil and bad things being done in my presence, not on my watch. So I don't know about you, but I want you to look around you within your scope of work, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's in school, whether it's on the road, whether it's with your group of boys or girls. What are those things around you that you can do to try and make the world a better and safer space, and try and reduce the chances of GBV, or try and remedy it to the best of your ability? It's happening, it's here with us, it's not going. And it's not animals that are killing women, it's not people from outer space that are killing women, it's people like you and me. So let's keep the conversation going, but most importantly, let's work towards bringing an end to this, because today it could be you and tomorrow it could be me. And the amount of lives we've lost are already too many. And those are the ones that we know, those are the ones that the statistics are capturing. What about the ones that the statistics are not capturing? What about those? And what conversations are we going to be having 5 years from now, 10 years from now? It cannot honestly be the same thing. So something needs to be done, and gender-based violence needs to be stopped. And it needs to be handled and treated with the urgency and the importance that it requires. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. I will see you on the next video. Please subscribe and share this with a friend. Bye.